This is a Squiz podcast. We're your shortcut to being informed.
Squiz Kids!
It's your daily news fix. Fun, free, fresh.
Hello and welcome to Squiz Kids, your fresh take on what's happening in the world around you. I'm Bryce Corbett. It's Wednesday, June 2. In Squiz Kids today, here come electric cars. New Zealand's Operation Hedgehog. Naomi Osaka out of the French Open. And Perth's hero dad. That's what's making news, kids style.
The Lowdown.
The car you may be sitting in now, listening to this podcast, or the one sitting in the garage at home, is more than likely to use petrol or diesel as its fuel. But by the time most of you are old enough to buy your first car, there's a very good chance the road will be full of electric vehicles. That's the prediction from the world's largest car makers, with each one of them preparing to stop making cars that guzzle petrol and put greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. Jaguar plans to sell only electric vehicles by 2025, Volvo by 2030. Ford expects all of its vehicles that it sells in Europe to be electric by 2030, and VW reckons 70% of all cars it sells in 9 years' time will be plugged in for power rather than pumped full of petrol. Now, why is that a thing? Because cars have mostly been powered by something called the internal combustion engine for over 100 years. But with the advance of technology and science, and the passing of laws in many countries to limit the amount of greenhouse gases going into the atmosphere, there's a big change afoot. Vroom vroom! It's kind of chilly out there, isn't it? And we've only just hit winter. But despite having the coldest autumn in 6 years, Australia looks set to be in for the warmest winter we've had in a while, with the Weather Bureau yesterday predicting milder than usual winter temperatures. Thanks to something called the El Niño Southern Oscillation, which sounds like a cool dance move, coastal areas in particular should expect warmer than average days and higher than average nighttime temperatures for the winter ahead. Mind you, I'm not taking the electric blanket off just yet, just the same.
Spin the globe.
Each day we give the world globe a spin and find a news story from wherever it stops. And today we've landed in New Zealand, across the ditch with our cuzzy bros, where hedgehogs are looking nervously over their spiny little shoulders. Hedgehogs are an introduced species in New Zealand. They were brought over from Britain in the 1800s for English settlers wanting to be reminded of home. Problem is, though, hedgehogs have no natural predators in New Zealand, and so they have thrived. And now there are so many of them, they've become a pest and are starting to eat native lizards, insects, and birds' eggs, such that the New Zealand government has decided it's time to step in and reduce their numbers. The NZ government is currently running a campaign to remove from the ecosystem all introduced predators by the year 2050, so that native animals there have a chance to flourish.
Sport time!
The world's number 2 women's tennis player, Naomi Osaka, has bowed out of the French Open in Paris after refusing to take part in post-match press conferences. And legends of the game have come out in full support. The all-conquering Naomi revealed that answering questions from journalists after games made her anxious, and that for the sake of her mental health, she had decided to drop out of the tournament. Some of the biggest names in women's tennis, including former champs Martina Navratilova and Billie Jean King, congratulated Naomi on putting her mental health ahead of winning a tennis match. Further evidence that Naomi Osaka is a new kind of sporting hero.
Squiz Kids salutes.
So remember yesterday we brought you the story of the dad and daughter duo who swam for 5 nautical miles before being rescued after their boat hit a reef off the coast of Western Australia? Well, there was excellent news yesterday that the 11-year-old girl, Ruby, was in hospital and expected to make a full recovery, while her dad told reporters that even when rescue planes were flying overhead and not spotting them bobbing about in the open ocean in their life jackets, he kept telling his daughter everything was going to be fine and to just keep swimming. There was no way I was going to give up, he said yesterday. It's a parenting thing that just kicked in. I kept saying to her we're gonna make it no matter what, and yeah, we made it. You sure did. And Squiz Kids salutes you both.
My lockdown life.
All this week, we've been encouraging Squiz Kids in Victoria to share their thoughts with us about life in lockdown. On Friday, we'll have a special bonus episode featuring their sometimes hilarious, always heartfelt answers to the 5 questions we've posted in the episode notes. And today, we thought you'd like to hear just a couple of the responses we got to the question, what advice would you give to kids who feel scared or sad about the coronavirus and lockdown?
It's okay to feel those feelings, but the coronavirus won't go on forever. And do something that makes you feel better, like playing your favourite game.
Focus on the positives, like being with your family.
Stand up straight in your soldier position and then just lie down, close your eyes on the couch or your bed or your sofa or your bunk bed. And then just close your eyes. Think about all the nice times. Like, just forget about the lockdown.
There is definitely going to be an end to it and everyone's going to get vaccinated.
Well, I'd say it's not going to go on forever, and if you do the right things, it will go away.
Stand up straight in your soldier position. Well, if that isn't the best advice I've ever heard. A huge shout out to Zoe, Louie, Molly, Tavish and Ellie, who provided snippets from their lockdown life today. And if you live in Victoria and want to hear your voice on Squiz Kids, share a snippet of your lockdown life. We've stuck the 5 questions we want you to answer in the episode notes. Just record yourself answering them and email the audio file through to squizkids@thesquiz.com.au. And then you'll hear yourself in our special My Lockdown Life episode dropping on Friday. Quick reminder that we're tracking down school principals. We have some really important questions that we need to put to school principals that will help us make Squiz Kids bigger and better. So, if you're a school principal and you think Squiz Kids is a valuable resource for your students and teachers, please get in touch with us directly by emailing squizkids@thesquiz.com.au with your name, your school, and a contact number. And if you're a parent or teacher who loves Squiz Kids and knows a school principal, please give them a nudge to do exactly that. It's really important to us and we would really appreciate it. Thanks.
Time for the quiz.
This is the part of the podcast where you get to test how well you've been listening. Question number 1. Cars powered by what energy source will inhabit the roads of the future? That's right, it's electricity. Question number 2. Which cute animal in New Zealand has become something of a pest? Yeah, it's the hedgehog. Question number 3. Name the top tennis player who's withdrawn from the French Open. You got it, it's Naomi Osaka.
Shout outs.
It's June 2, birthday of Aussie cricketer Steve Smith. It's also a special day for these Squiz Kids celebrating a birthday today. Annabelle from Exeter, Freya from Walpole, Lily from Currumbin, Ella from Brisbane, Saxon from Port Douglas, Elliot from Albany Hill, Madison from Googong, Sophia from Five Dock, and Hunter and Natalie, who are both tuning in all the way over there in Singapore. And today's classroom shout-outs go to Class 3Q from Hassel Grove Public School, Class 6F at St Brendan's in Mackay, Class 4W with Mr Wood, and Class 5F with Miss Friendo at Emu Plains Public School, all the kids and teachers at Como West Public School, and Class 3AW at Millgate Primary School in Doncaster, Victoria, where Evelyn sends a big hello to Miss Walker, who she is missing this week during lockdown. Don't forget, if you've got a birthday coming up and you want a shout-out, or if you're after a classroom shout-out, drop us a line at squizkids@thesquiz.com.au. Well, that's all we have time for today. Thanks for listening to Squiz Kids. We'll be back again tomorrow. In the meantime, get out there and have a most excellent day. Over and out. Squiz Kids is proudly supported by the Judith Neilson Institute for Journalism and Ideas.
Squiz Kids! It's your daily news fix. Fun, free, fresh.